Let's transition to the last topic of the night. It is involving the Miami Dolphins and Tua Tagovailoa. So the NFLPA exercised its right to dismiss the unaffiliated neo-trauma consultant who was involved in Tua Tagovailoa entering the game against the Buffalo Bills in Week 3 and then having Tua play in Week 4 against the Cincinnati Bengals. The doctor who evaluated Tua was fired. So this situation involved the Miami Dolphins. It smells for many, many reasons. Number one, I wish Mike McDaniel would stop trying to convince us that Tua had some type of back injury. I'm not going to assassinate Mike McDaniel's character. I'm not going to say that Mike McDaniel doesn't care about his players. I'm not going to say that Mike McDaniel is a coach who is out for himself and only wants his best players available and doesn't care about their health. I'm not going to go that far. I'm not going to assassinate his character and criticize him overall. I'm going to say this. I don't like the fact that he kept trying to sell us on the idea that Tua had some type of back injury. Because here's the thing. We saw when Tua went down in the game against the Buffalo Bills, everyone watching knew that Tua was concussed. Stop trying to sell us on this idea that Tua was dealing with a back injury. Stop trying to get us to believe that it was a back injury when you knew all along that it was a concussion. But you wanted to win the game against the Buffalo Bills and the game against the Cincinnati Bengals, Mike McDaniel. So you know that Tua Tagovailoa gives you the best opportunity to win as your starting quarterback. So you was good with whatever the doctor said in the evaluation. And obviously the doctor got this wrong because everyone knew watching the game last Sunday in Miami, everyone knew that Tua had a concussion. He was staggering when he tried to get up to his feet. He fell back down again. And everyone knew that Tua had a concussion. I had Yanni Caracas. He's a reporter down there in Miami who covers the Miami Dolphins. He was at the game when the Dolphins played the Buffalo Bills, and he was in the press box along with other reporters, and he talked about on the show last week how surprised all the reporters in the press box were when they saw Tua Tagovailoa come back out on the field in the second half against the Buffalo Bills. He should have not even came back in that game. And then you had the audacity to put Tua back on the field 4 days later, and he wasn't even ready because he still had a previous concussion from the previous week. So, Mike McDaniel, stop trying to sell us on this belief that Tua had a back injury. I'm not buying it, bro. Stop it. You want to put your team in a position to win football games. So whatever that doctor said, you were going to roll with because you knew that Tua gave you a better opportunity to win than Teddy Bridgewater did. I'm not saying that Mike McDaniel doesn't care about Tua Tagovailoa. I'm not saying that Mike McDaniel doesn't care about his players overall and their health and safety. What I am saying is it doesn't take a doctor to have to evaluate Tua to know if he has a concussion or not. I'm not a doctor, and I knew watching the game in week 3 against the Buffalo Bills, I knew Tua was concussed. I ain't a damn doctor. I ain't never went and studied to be a doctor. But I knew Tua Tagovailoa was concussed. And I knew that he shouldn't have even played Thursday night against the Cincinnati Bengals. Stop defending the situation and take some accountability. Even if that doctor approved Tua to come back on the field and cleared him to play as a head coach, you know that your player is concussed. And sometimes, as a head coach, as an organization, you have to protect the player from themselves. You know they're going to want to play no matter the circumstances. They are going to want to play no matter how injured they are. And it was clear to everyone watching that Tua Tagovailoa had a concussion in the game against the Buffalo Bills. And he should have never cleared concussion protocols to even be able to play in the Thursday night game against the Bengals. So I know the doctor got fired who was involved in this, but it's enough blame to go all around. I'm not going to let Mike McDaniel off the hook because you are a head coach. You know that Tua was concussed. But again, you prioritized winning over Tua's health. Again, I'm not going to say that Mike McDaniel doesn't care about Tua's health. I believe he cares about Tua. I believe he cares about his players. He also cares about winning football games. And he knows he has to establish a culture in Miami that's going to be a contender in the AFC for future seasons to come. So I believe that Mike McDaniel and the Dolphins organization, they all knew Tua was concussed. And they were just praying that nothing bad happened and they could get through the games against the Bills and the Bengals without anything happening. So we wouldn't be questioning them having Tua available to play to begin with. That's what it was all about. They knew he was concussed. And again, I'm not going to say that McDaniel don't care about his players. What I am going to say is McDaniel cares about winning. And in the NFL, you don't have a major margin for error as a head coach. And he wants to establish a culture down there in Miami. He wants to prove to the Buffalo Bills, we true contenders in the AFC East. He wanted to prove to the Cincinnati Bengals in week 4, we true contenders in the AFC overall. And he knows in order to be contenders in the AFC and be at their best, they need their starting quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa, to be on the field. And so I believe McDaniel prioritized winning football games more than he prioritized Tua's health in this particular situation. He'll learn from it. He'll improve, and I bet it won't happen again. But we all knew watching that game on Sunday in week 3 that Tua was concussed. And it didn't take a doctor to notice that. I don't give a damn talking about how he was cleared. We got to use common sense at some point. We got to use common sense. And common sense tells everyone watching that brother was concussed. Now, thank God that once Tua got injured in the game against the Bengals, he had movements in all of his extremities. He went to the University of Cincinnati. He was released that same night. He did fly back with the Miami Dolphins. And Mike McDaniel already announced that Tua will be out for the week 5 game against the Jets. And what's crazy is, even though the Dolphins aren't as good with Bridgewater as they are with Tua, Bridgewater can win football games. I thought Bridgewater did an outstanding job Thursday against the Bengals, coming in and not having all the reps with the first team offense. I thought Bridgewater did a hell of a job. Bridgewater went 14 of 23, 193 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He was on the wrong page with his tight end, Gesicki, on the tight end. So they weren't on the same page on that interception by Bridgewater. But I think this Dolphins team can definitely win a few football games in the absence of Tua Tagovailoa. Week 5, they got the Jets. That's a game they should win. Week 6, they're home against the Vikings. That's a toss-up. But I think they can beat the Vikings with Teddy Bridgewater. Week 7, they play the Steelers. That's a win. Week 8, they got the Lions in Detroit. That's a win for the Dolphins. And then week 9, they got the Bears in Chicago. They can win that game. Week 10, they're home against the Browns. So over the next 6 weeks before the bye week, Jets, Vikings, Steelers, Lions, Bears, Browns. I think the Dolphins can go, let's just say Tua's out for 5 games. I'm just hypothetically throwing it out there. Let's say he's out for 5 games. I think the Dolphins can go 4-1. They'll beat the Jets, Steelers, Lions, and Bears, and they might lose to the Vikings, but that's a toss-up. That's a game they for sure could win. So I think in the absence of Tua Tagovailoa, I think the Dolphins will be just fine. And I do believe that they are contenders in the AFC East. I'm not going to pick them to beat the Buffalo Bills in the AFC East just yet, but they are contenders in the AFC East, and they are contenders overall in the AFC.